WP. 20 years ago, you received $100 million in return for being pursued by a hyperintelligent, invulnerable snail for the rest of your life. If it touches you, you die. Your precautions have worked until now, but you didn't anticipate this. What do you mean? I'm out of money. I'm not sure I can be any clearer. Money is a thing of which you have none of anymore. Comma. The snarky bank teller said, as if to beg to be smacked across the face. I had $100 million. How can I be out? Did you invest any of it? No. Did you bury any of it under a tree? No. Did you? Okay. Okay. I get it. Comma. I interjected. Clearly this was going nowhere I wanted to go. What about the snail? The snail? Comma. Asked the teller. But I don't know why. What damn snail could I be referring to other than the one that has been relentless pursuing me since I acquired my now missing fortune? Or the snail I've had to avoid for risk of death over the past 2 decades? What about that? Does it stop now that the money is gone? He laughs. Quite more than was necessary. If you ask me. A couple of long inhales to catch his breath. Then he responds. Sir. I'm sure you know, as you would have read in the contract, that the snail is a lifetime obligation regardless of your fiscality. Or lack thereof. How am I supposed to avoid this dang thing if I don't have any money to run with? Well. Sir. We no longer offer the snail package. But you are welcome to try the rhino package. Comma. He says while presenting a pamphlet. I look it over. Their graphic designer is fantastic. I'd have likely been swayed even if I hadn't found myself in my current predicament. A rhino? You say? Comma. I inquire as I stroke my chin. Just now realizing I forgot to shave today. Yes. Sir. The rhino package comes with a rhino relentlessly chasing you to your demise. To the lofty sum of $500 million. $500 million. That's almost $500 million. That's right. Sir. Almost. Now. Just how fast and smart is this rhino? Typical rhino speed. As smart as the snail. Rhinos can't be much faster than snails. Right? They always looked pretty slow at the zoo. All the information you need is right there. Sir. Comma. He says while pointing to the pamphlet in my hands. Fine. Whatever. With almost $500 million. Ain't nothing I can't outrun. Please sign here to finalize everything and I'll get the money transferred into your account immediately. He presents the rhino contract to me. I sign immediately without hesitation. From riches to rags to back to riches. A few key taps here. A few clicks there. And voila. I'm flush with capital once again. The teller hands me copies of the paperwork and send me on my way. Have a good day. Sir. Looking forward to seeing you again. Again? Huh? Not likely. I've got over 4 times what I used to have. I'll never be able to spend this. As I exit the bank. There stands before me a gigantic snarling rhino. It is summer and yet somehow steam still emits from its nostrils upon its powerful exhale. While it shakes its head in an aggressive manner. Brandishing its piercing horn. Atop the rhino's back sits the snail. Their combined weight has crushed my Ferrari. I run. It follows too. It follows, slowly from the award-winning producer and director behind the critically acclaimed horror film It Follows comes the much-anticipated sequel you never saw coming. It Follows, slowly details the journey of Jay and Paul. Survivors of the murderous sex curse at Oakland University. After being stalked for a series of sleepless nights and witnessing the brutal slaying of their friends. The 2 survivors understandably suffer from PTSD and bouts of paranoia. Jay, in particular, has struggled with taking overly cautious security measures. She has nearly depleted their life savings after purchasing security cameras, reinforced windows, military-grade door locks, alarm systems, and motion sensors for their home. Paul told her they had no money left. She had to stop spending. They were safe. Jay shrugged this off. She knew they would never be safe. She had to keep them safe. That's why. On that fateful day, everything changed. Again. Jay didn't expect to ever again be in the position of waking up in a wheelchair in an old warehouse. She tasted the chloroform on her breath, she knew it well by now. Who the fuck is doing this now? The voice was disembodied. Lurking in the shadows. It spoke in a low, gruff voice. Hello. Jay. I have an offer for you. Jay felt her body tense up. Pulling against her restraints. She knew they would never be safe again. The threat will always be out there. You will be followed. Just like before. You will be pursued by an entity that only you two can see. It will not stop. It will follow you. Relentlessly. Forever. And if it catches you, you're dead. Ice. Jay's fingers. Hands. Arms. Toes, they felt like ice. It was as if she had been plunged in freezing cold water. And she couldn't come up for air. How could this be happening again? And it can take the form of anyone, Jay asked. Managing to catch her breath. No, the disembodied voice replied. No, it's a snail, it's a... Jay's voice trailed off as she tried to make sense of it. A snail, the disembodied voice completed her sentence. Okay, oh. But it's up to you, the voice sounded almost chipper. Up to me, Jay asked. Right. If you want $100 million, $100 million, Jay repeated. Incredulously. That's right. But you'll be followed. But? By a snail, yes. By a snail. Forever. And it kills you if it catches you. I'll do it. $100 million could keep her and Paul safe for the rest of their lives. She could protect them from anything, especially a snail. Okay then. The money will be in your account next time you access it. And the snail is already on its way. Also, you can untie yourself. Good luck. The disembodied voice faded away. And Jay pulled her wrists free from the wheelchair armrests. 20 years later, that's right. That's what I said. Snail-proof the entire house and yard. Use the finest pesticides. Anything that works especially good on slugs and snails. Pour salt in every crack if you have to. I'll pay for it all. Jay sighed as she hung up the phone. Another contractor coming by. Paul looked up from his morning coffee. Yes, just putting the finishing touches on the new house. They finished the moat yesterday. And hopefully the window guys will be done installing the airtight seals later today. They even offered to throw in that complimentary skylight. Isn't that nice? Jay reported as she checked items off of her to-do list. Paul murmured in agreement as he gazed up at the newly installed skylight. Jay calls this a house. It's more like a fortress. At least the skylight is nice. Tomorrow, the pesticide will be complete and our whole house will finally be completely snail-proof. And we can finally live again. Jay sat down and, for the first time in a long time, she felt like she could see light at the end of the tunnel. As they were sitting in the kitchen in silence, basking in the promise of their future in the warmth of the natural light, something landed in Paul's coffee. Plop! A splash and the mug sloshed the dark liquid up over the brim, furrowing his brow. Paul dumped the coffee into the sink to see what had fallen in his drink. Peering into the sink, Paul and Jay simultaneously gasped and looked at each other with pure terror in their eyes. Sitting in the sink was a snail shell. And as they watched, a soft and slimy body slowly began to writhe out of the mouth of the shell, extending its long eyeballs one after the other. Fuck! Jay screamed as she scrambled towards the door. Plop 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 plop, horrified. Jay watched and listened to snail after snail after snail fall onto the kitchen floor in front of her. Jay, the skylight, Paul whispered, staring up in fear. Jay's eyes turned upwards to the newly installed skylight. But there was no sun or sky that was visible. The glass was opaque, a brownish color and shadow. As she looked more closely, she saw what it was. The skylight was covered in snails. Hundreds of them. Could be thousands. And a crack was forming in the middle of the glass. Before she could determine if she should run to save herself or tackle Paul out of the way, the skylight gave way. 20 years ago I had made a deal with the devil. If I agreed to the terms I would get $100 million and in return a snail would chase me the rest of my life. I took the deal and moved to another continent. I thought I would be safe given the speed of a snail, but now there's an assassin chasing me with a snail. When I first got the money, I decided to start investing. I quickly made a name for myself in the tech industry. The job has not been kind. Many attempts at my life had been made because of my involvement in the industry. This time though, I had angered the wrong person. My contractor. The devil himself. I had caught the eye of the lady of the underworld, and now her husband, the devil, is trying to kill me. It was only a visit to keep the contract going. But the ever so unlucky me was attractive enough to get the lady to flirt with me. The devil was furious, but a rule prevented him from directly interfering with humans. He knew our deal, and he knew that if he could hire a competent enough hitman, he could kill me easily. He was too proud to just kill me with a bullet or a knife. He had to kill me with the cursed snail. I was sitting in my hotel room on a trip to the Congo on a charity trip when I first saw her. A woman had just kicked the door down. She was stunning. Jet black hair, fair skin, and in a casual sundress. And in her hand was a snail with a ink black shell. Die, she said as she threw the snail at me. I barely dodged and I jumped out the way. Who the hell are you? I said as I scampered away. Your death, she said as she picked up the snail again. There was only one way out, and I was out the 5th floor window and into a dumpster. I saw only two choices. Accept my fate or risk it all. So I risked it all. I crashed off the window. Glass flying everywhere. I made my 10-point landing straight into the dumpster. Imagine a multi-billionaire stepping out of a dumpster. That was me. From the broken window she glared down at me. With her cold gaze she vanished. I was shaken, but I needed to get away. I flicked down a taxi and paid him $50,000 for his junk car. He quickly gave me the keys and I started driving to the airport. The trip and getting past was easy. Many African officials are corrupt, so a few hundreds got me through with ease. I was now on a private plane with 4 flight attendants and 2 pilots. We were 500 feet in the air when I decided to check on our pilots. I entered the cockpit and there I found 2 dead pilots and a stunning lady with black hair. A needle in her hand. I started running. No sprinting to the other side of the plane. The hit woman started down the aisle. The attendants in her way were quickly taken care of. I fumbled with the lock and it popped. I took a parachute and jump. I was getting away, but there was a glaring problem. I didn't know how to use a parachute. So I sat there knowing that at least I would die, giving the devil a big middle finger and not dying his way. When I looked to the ground and waiting for me was a snail. One with a ink black shell ready to impale me.